On the line with me is Dan Bongino, conservative commentator, former police officer with the New York Police Department, former Secret Service agent, and currently a candidate running for Congress as a Republican in Maryland, in the 6th District of Maryland. His website is Bongino, BONGINO.com. And Dan, welcome back to the program.
Always good to talk to you, Tom.
Thank you, Dan. Always nice to have you on. You're a good guy.
Thank you very much.
Even though we disagree on so many things, I've gotten to know you over the years. You are definitely a good guy. By the way, are you running is this a primary run?
There is a primary, yeah. It's
okay.
It's phenomenal.
Okay, so for our Republican listeners in Maryland, Dan's running for the 6th District. I don't know if it's a closed primary or not, but so our registered Republicans listen carefully to this guy. He's a good guy. Dan, I wanted to talk with you about both the stop and frisk thing that got basically blown up by actually not. It got tempered, shall we say, by this federal judge in New York City, and also this young man, Israel Hernandez Lash, who was an award-winning graffiti artist. And being a graffiti artist means you're living kind of on the edge of the law because graffiti is graffiti, right? Right. And even when it's art. And a police officer demanded that he stop. He didn't. The guy tased him, and it killed him. He was shot with a taser gun when they caught him spray painting a building. Where would you prefer to start?
Yeah, well, stop and frisk is a great topic for me.
Right.
Me and you, Tom, actually share a lot in common. I know that surprises you sometimes, but I was a kid who drove around with a bumper sticker on my car that said "Question Authority." So the cleft between my libertarian streak and I think your streak of your interesting blend of politics, I'll call it, is actually not that.
My civil libertarian streak.
It's not as thick as some would believe. The stop and frisk issue is a sensitive one for me, having been a police officer and stopped and frisked people, but having grown up in the streets in the city in New York City and having been stopped and frisked myself in circumstances I felt inappropriate. I've seen it from both sides. Now, I'll say this. Some of the judge, I think it was Shylin, I think some of her remedies were a little absurd, and go a little far. Having, police officers wear video cameras, I think, was a little excessive. But one of the police officers who testified in this case, apparently, I read the New York Times piece, it said that there were these informal quotas for numbers of people to go out and stop and frisk.
Right.
Well, I can tell you from my time, they're not called quotas, but they're generally called performance measures, Tom, or some other, fancy terminology you can use to not get yourself in legal trouble. And I strongly object. There's no constitutional basis whatsoever for pulling people over and an ex post facto making up a reason why you did it because you have to fulfill whatever you want to call it, a performance quota or a measure.
Right.
So
and now one of the things that I've heard several times, and I'm not sure if this is actually true or not, and you can tell me perhaps, Dan, is that in New York, possession of a small amount of marijuana is really not a crime, or it's a parking ticket kind of crime.
Right.
But displaying marijuana in public is a crime, and this is in order to discourage people from smoking pot in public, right? Because other people have to breathe it and that kind of stuff. But if somebody's caught with pot, in a stop and frisk situation, they find themselves in this bizarre catch-22 because if the police officer says empty your pockets and show me what's in your pockets, if they say no, then they're committing a crime which is more serious than a parking ticket or a jaywalking ticket of refusing the lawful order of a police officer. And if they say yes and pull a joint out, they are now committing the crime of publicly displaying marijuana, and they get arrested for one or the other. Is that the case?
Well, what I found, no. I mean, could it be? Yes, but that's not what I found. What I found was if they wanted to arrest you, one of the jokes we had was, or you'd hear people say, was like felonious mopery or something like that, like a crime people would make up after the fact.
Right.
If they, like disorderly conduct. I mean, there's these random kind of open-ended crimes you can charge people with if you would stop and frisk them, and maybe you didn't have the exact Terry versus Ohio, that's the legal case, reasonable suspicion to do that. Those were the things that I found disturbing. Now, I didn't witness it, but you'd always hear people chat, and there was always chatter. And the cops and firemen are really good guys. I mean, I work there, and the Secret Service agents I work with. But, of course, there's always a few bad apples. And the pressure I found, Tom, was pressure coming from the bosses, not the cops. I mean, none of the cops I knew at a roll call wanted to go out there and, hey, let's go out there and just randomly frisk people. I mean,
they didn't want to roust people.
Yeah, there's a lot of pressure from management, though. I mean, politicians want to cut crime rates, and that's where these performance measure things come in. And that's why I don't believe the politicians in this are really telling everybody, the full story. The program needs to be modified, but I don't think it should be scrapped completely, and I don't think video cameras are necessarily the best way forward either.
Well, they've done actually a lot with in police cars in stopping inappropriate behavior by police officers.
Sure, and I think that's fine. But when you're on a foot post by yourself, me, I haven't been there at 2 o'clock in the morning in the 75th precinct. And again, I'm not defending illegal stop and frisk techniques. I'm not. But I'm saying if I had a video camera on me and it's 2 o'clock in the morning, there's always a hesitancy to act, knowing that they're never going to see the full context of what you're seeing. And a car stop, it's a little different. You have a microphone. It doesn't really get the whole thing. But, I haven't been stopped myself, again, after I left. There is that, why just stop me for it? It does breed distrust in the community. And I don't think there's anything more important between a police department and their community than, a vibrant sense of trust. Trust.
Yeah, I've said this for years, and I believe you agree with me on this, that our future is in the hands of our teachers. Our present is in the hands of our police. And in both cases, they're wildly underpaid and vastly under-resourced in terms of community policing and genuine teaching.
I couldn't agree with you more, Tommy. Think about it. Who else do you pay that has the ability to take your life and your liberty as they check in for work every day?
Yeah, it's a cop, yeah.
Yeah, our public service, our firemen as well. I mean, they're running into burning buildings. Things we weren't run away from, they're running towards. I do agree with you, and I've said that publicly many times, that police, fire, our federal agents, our military, I think these are guys that should be paid. And I think the education requirements we can bump up a bit, and the salaries as well. And maybe that's a better solution, maybe better training, maybe better civilian oversight boards. I mean, the ones I found in New York City when I was there, they were I found to be a little vindictive at times. There were, there were times they didn't trust you at all. Like, hey, what I'm telling you is true. It's just, I had witnesses. Here's how it happened.
Right.
So I think there are other ways to do it.
What's your take on this young man who was tased? It seems to me that at some point, tasers are, we had a robust debate years ago about when a police officer should pull a gun and when they should discharge it. And I don't think we ever had that debate about a taser. And these things kill people more often than they should.
Yeah, it seems they were chasing them for a while as well. My take on this is a practical one. My time in the police academy, I found that they lowered the standards, the physical standards, for people in order to get more people to pass. This is not a man-woman thing, so it was a man-woman thing where some people just couldn't pass.
Yeah.
And they did it to get more people through, and I think this is the result, Tom. More people rely on the equipment rather than, say, their ability to talk or their ability just by a good physical presence to stop a dangerous situation before it started.
Or at a certain point, aren't there some crimes like being a graffiti artist that, if you can't catch the guy, you just let him go because the alternative is to possibly kill him?
Well, yeah, I mean, and that's one of the reasons in New York they call off vehicle pursuits if it gets too dangerous. You have to say to yourself, okay, the guy ran a red light. Is it worth running down 4 or 5 kids in the middle of the street to catch a guy and ensure he gets a ticket for a red light? I mean, marginal benefit, marginal cost. And I think you make a point here in this case. But I don't know all of the details, but I know there was a foot pursuit involved, and I certainly don't think he deserves to die.
Yeah, I'm with you. Dan Bongino, his website, Bongino, BONGINO.com. He's running for the 6th District of Maryland's Republican seat. So as I said, Democrats are probably not going to be there voting for you, Dan. But if there are Republicans watching, and I know that there are, check it out. Dan, thanks for being with us.
Thanks, I appreciate it.
Good talking with you. We'll be right back.